All right, guys, good morning. This is week 4, our last session of our new teacher boot camp. And today we're going to be talking all about It Takes a Village and the power of collaboration, collaborating, building relationships with families, with students, and with other staff members. Today, I actually have 3 videos from individuals that volunteered to put together like testimonies, I would say, or maybe just their input on effective collaboration. So I have one from a paraprofessional, I have one from a service provider, and I have one from an ICT teacher. So I will share those videos. They're short. I told them to keep it short. So I think the longest was 4 minutes, I believe. So after each section that I share about collaborating with that specific staff member, our type of staff, I will share the video. We'll actually watch it together. I think it's very important and powerful to get, to hear it directly from the people that you're going to be working with, or just to get a better idea of how other people are thinking, right? And how powerful it can be when we sometimes are, a little bit hesitant to speak to other people or to really build relationships because just our personalities or just being shy or not having that confidence. But just to get a little personal insight from those service providers and other teachers and teaching assistants, I think it'll be very helpful for your journey. And even if this year you're not working with a paraprofessional in your class or a service provider, it's still very helpful information to see how effective it is to work with other staff, because you're going to come across some type of collaboration you're going to have to do with a service provider or another staff member in the school. So I think it's very important that you know exactly how to go about doing that. All right, so this is somewhat of the breakdown today. It might change because of the time. We started a little later, and hopefully Shanae will come on. If not, I'll have her do a recording and share it. I don't have all her material with us, but I do have the ICT video from another teacher, so that can be helpful. And then we're going to wrap it up with resources, additional tips. I am finalizing our website, the Google Sites, for the new teacher boot camp. I decided that, like I said last week, I think it would be better because I could constantly update it, right? Once I send you guys a group guidebook, that's a PDF file, that's it. It's not, I can't edit it. So I thought if I do a Google Sites, you guys have that. You can constantly check it. I'll send emails if I add more information, which I'll try to do whenever I do come across things. I know I've been emailing you guys some ed camp information and any other information. I am subscribed to a lot of websites, educational websites, which I suggest you guys doing as well. And I sign up for a lot of like news articles just to keep me up in the loop with what's going on with education, and just to keep current so I can meet my students' needs, and just for myself. It's always good to want to learn new things. So we're going to start the power of relationships with family, staff, how to build those relationships with them. We're going to go into an effective ICT classroom, and then we're going to wrap it up. I also have a survey because I want to know if we can be better. I want to continuously do this. I want to, build it up. Unfortunately, we did have a lot more people sign up for it, but I think they're watching the videos. I'm getting a lot of views on the videos, which is either way, it's awesome. I wanted to make available to everyone. So also, if you know anyone that can benefit from it, share it with them. We might make this a semester thing. We're going to see how it goes. But I have a survey that I just want to know how we can do better. What did you like? What did you not like? Also, if you can add a testimonial, that'll be great, so I can add it to our Google Sites. I know a lot of people have said things on our sessions, also emailed me stuff, but the survey will give you an opportunity to type it out so I can post it. All right. So we're going to start with It Takes a Village. I love that proverb. I know you guys have heard this proverb. It's all about the community coming together. It takes more than one person, it takes more than one family to raise a child, to help a child succeed, right? And we need to embrace that. And the only way that would happen is if the community is working together and collaborating with the same goal, the success of the students, right? This proverb is for raising children as well as educating children, right? We can use this in many ways. So I really do believe that is important in a school system. It takes a village. It takes everyone in that school to help the students. And it's not just your students in the classroom, right? Every student in that school is your students. They are your children. So if something you see that's happening in the hallway, or the child is going through something, and the child is running in the hallway or might be in danger or something, or you see a student crying in the hallway, they are our children. They're in that school building. They're under our care. So it's our duty to make sure that they are safe and they are okay, not just students that are in your classroom. And today we're going to provide you tips on how to build relationships with families and parents, other educators, service providers, administrators, even down to custodial and office staff. I do feel it's important to have relationships with everyone in the school building. Even if it's just a hi, how you doing? You know, like it's something as simple as that. Just acknowledging them can go a long way. So we're going to start with building relationships with families. Okay, this one is a big one. We need to have a partnership with them, right? It's the most important. Let me see if I put this on presentation mode. It's the most important thing. Our relationship with our families are going to help with the students. When students see that we are in collaboration or in relationship with their families, working as a team, there's research that shows they are more likely to succeed. They're more likely to want to succeed. They see that everyone's on the same team for the same purpose. So this is ways you can do this. In the beginning of the school year, start with opening a line of communication. It's very, very, very important. Whether you have your own phone number, I know some people are skeptical about that. Make a Google phone number. I know Shanae, she has one, which is awesome. I don't have one, but there's many ways you can get, there's so many fake ways, fake apps. I wouldn't say fake. There's many apps and there's many options out there where you can have another phone number. You don't have to give them your personal phone number unless you're comfortable with that, right? Make an email or use your school's email, right? You get a school email or make a Google email, Yahoo, everything's free now. You can easily make another email for your families. Text, right? With that phone number, whether you make phone calls, right? Parents are very busy nowadays. We have to be mindful of their living situations, their work situations, right? We have families that work 2 or 3 jobs. We have families that cannot answer phone calls. Texting is what it is now, right? 90% or even more of our communication nowadays is through text or in person, right? We get opportunities in our schedule during preps or off times where we can schedule in-person sessions. Make it available, open up a 2-way line of communication with families. Find out what works for them. And remember, what works for 2 or 3 students might not work for the rest of the students. So you gotta be mindful of that. So I know for me, I contact parents through email, through phone numbers, through WhatsApp, through text messaging, you know, like I have a relationship where they text me and I'm okay with that, right? But it has to be something you're comfortable. Also find out the protocol of your school. They might not be okay with that. So just find out, but make sure that you speak to your parents. The best way, the open line of the way to communicate with them, what's best for them is do a survey in the beginning of the school year, right? Simply do a quick survey asking what's the best way to communicate you. Would you, if you want to do a multiple choice or you want to do a paragraph option, give them the choices. Let them know that there's an option to text or an option to email or even to meet in person or phone calls, right? We get preps and we get periods where we have parent engagement, and that is your opportunity to set that up. You're going to start with the meet the teacher letter, right? I know a lot of schools require you to do that anyways. This is your opportunity to open that line of communication. Maybe you can start with an email and a Google phone number, or an email and a school phone number. And then along the school year, as you start building those relationships, you can open up additional lines of communication with the families, right? So starting with the meet the teacher lets them know, like, hey, this is me. I'm human. I'm here for your kids. This is the goal of the school year, but this is how to reach out to me, and letting them know clearly and specifically that you want that open communication with them, that you're here for them. You're here to work as a team. You guys are partners in the students' academic and social success. Once they know that, they'll be a little bit more open and comfortable, hopefully, into building that relationship with you. Try to call and personally introduce yourself to parents. It's very important. Yes, we contact each other through text and email and phone call, phone, emails and text messages and stuff like that. We're giving them multiple opportunities to be in communication with them. But that first few weeks, you want to open up that line with calling them on the phone, hearing their voice, talking to them, letting them know who you are and what are your goals for the year and how they could communicate with you. And that's the perfect opportunity to share the way you want to, to find out also if you can't do the survey or if you don't have enough time to do the survey, the phone calls can be your survey, right? Assess and ask what's their preference. And don't just reach out to parents when students are misbehaving. Be consistent with your outreach. I remember when my son was in school and we were always getting just phone calls with, his behaviors, him having a hard time, him being pulled out, us having to go to school. He did this, he did that. And it was very exhausting and very discouraging. And I remember, I forgot his name. He was his 5th grade teacher in elementary school. He started calling me just to let me know good stuff. And I was like, that was the first time that actually happened. And it was amazing. It was amazing. It felt good. And the first thing I used to say when I picked up, what did he do now, right? You automatically assume that when a school's calling, that it's because your child did something wrong. Switch it up. Let them know. He ran in class today. He participated. He sat longer than he usually does. He helped another student. Even if it's as simple as that, he sat longer than he usually does. That's going to make that parent feel so happy and at ease. And it's going to build that relationship with you guys because you're not just calling to talk bad about the student. Okay? Maybe a monthly parent newsletter. I know we have one in our school where we just keep the parents up to date with what's going on in the classroom. We do a site-wide one where all the teachers put together what they're doing in the classroom. We add important dates, any important events that's happening in the school, whether we have a school closing or we're having parent-teachers conference. We also have a section where the assistant principal, because our sites are split up, we have assistant principals looking over us. They do a quick little message about what's going on. We also have a parent resource section. So even if your school doesn't have that, I recommend you recommend it. You suggest it. It might be a good idea. A parent newsletter is a great way to keep the parents informed, especially parents that are constantly, working or they're busy or they really want to be part of their child's life, but life just doesn't allow it, right? So if you do one within your classroom, obviously you have to get that approved. That's how ours started. I was doing it within my classroom. I asked the new administration if I can do it. They actually liked the idea and it spread it across not a whole site, just not a whole school, just our specific site. And all the teachers collaborated and put together the newsletter. And we will share it with the parents on our platforms during the pandemic. We will also print them out and send them home in their folders. So think of it. Think of ways you can have something where you can collaborate. This is a perfect opportunity to collaborate with staff members as well. Parent and student events. It was easy during virtual. Now during going back into the building might be a little different. Your school might have things in place, but try to put together or ask for ways you can increase parent involvement in relations by having parent and student events within school. I'm not sure the protocol for everyone's school, so I can't really recommend stuff. But if you look online, you could ask. What we did when we had virtual learning, we had like a virtual social hour. We did a virtual talent show, right? So there's many things you can do. Online has great resources and ideas as well of how you can build relationships with families. And again, always want to ask, what are the protocols or what are the regulations and stuff like that when it comes to your school and your district. And the bottom line is you're creating that partnership and a team with your families. When everyone's on board, like I said, there's studies that prove that this is going to help students succeed overall. They see everyone's on the same page, okay? So I will share this also on our Google site. Any questions, or maybe you have a way that you've been creating lines of communication with your family that you might want to share? No one? Okay.
I've seen like Class Dojo.
Yes.
That I've seen.
Yeah, Class Dojo is a great way. I couldn't see if it was anybody in the waiting room. All right, so yeah, Class Dojo is great. We were using Class Dojo during the pandemic. It's a great way. They have you can make a school page, you can have a class page, you have the messaging section. So that's what we were using for our school, keeping parents up to date with current events, with days closed. They also have the event section where you can create anything so it pops up on the parent side to remind them of parent teachers conference or events. We also used to showcase the students' work. When we had our virtual social hour, we did an art room, we did a game room, and we would take pictures of the students' artwork and showcase it there. When we had our talent show, we recorded it and we posted it there. So it's a Class Dojo is great. It definitely is a great way to keep in communication with families. Okay, so that definitely is a one way. And again, like I said, these are many other ways you can do it, starting with the meet the teacher, open up that line of communication. Again, it depends on what your school, accepts. So always speak to them. So building relationships with staff, it's going to be very important. Building relationships with parents is, of course, that's on the top of the list as well. But building relationships with staff is going to be important. You're working with these people. You're going to be in school with them, right? You're going to, whether you're working in an ICT class, you're working in a special education class where you're going to be in collaboration with service providers, with co-teachers, with school counselors. In general, you're going to come across a time where you're going to have to collaborate with other coworkers or build relationships with other coworkers. And who doesn't want to be at a place where they get along with their coworkers? I know that can, cause a lot of tension in a workplace when you don't get along with your coworkers. And yeah, you're not going to be able to be best friends with everyone. It's not an idea, it's not we don't live in a perfect world, but you can make make it your business and make it a priority to you to try to build relationships with some of the staff members. It will make things easier, just coming to work. Right? How can we do that? So I know we can do a compliment wall. I know the DOE has this shout out a colleague thing. It's an electronic one. And you can actually go on, pick the person, and you can give them like a little shout out, give them a star, just compliment them, tell them something nice, and they get it through email. So it's a nice virtual way you can do it. Even if you just compliment their board, their board, right? Their classroom board. Or if you see it and you compliment their outfit, something as simple as that. Or if you see them doing something with a student or working with a student and you like something as simple as that can go a long way. A compliment can help. Again, goes back to week one with the confidence building. That can definitely help build confidence. Some schools have like shout out walls, right? Where you can put a shout out. I think our school had one as well for a short time where you can actually post a shout out to a staff member. I think that is a great way that you can help build relationships with coworkers. Compliment them. They might not think you are, a nice person. They might not even know you. They might just have assumptions based on other people, based on how you look, right? We all do it. We all judge subconsciously. We just make these decisions about people before we even know them. I know Mr. Julian, he's on here, so I'm going to say it. He thought I was I am super mean at times, but before we ever had a conversation, like I'm sure because of the way I look or the way I talk to other people or the relationships, like it was, there was an assumption that I was just this cruel, mean person. Mr. Julian, you could chime in if you want. But
actually, it was the way you approached me the first time we met. So don't say I just thought it was
well, the
because
situation, how we first met was a little, yeah, we'll not talk about that because it's being recorded right now. But anyways, so outside gatherings, I know we have, we can push to, let's go out for lunch, right? Let's go out after work. There's a movie. Let's go all see a movie, right? You can do that. I know that some people wait for administration or someone else that's been in the school for a long time to do those things. You can be that trend starter. You can do that. You can start slowly, right? Bring coffee if you want. Spend a couple of dollars. Bring some donuts for the staff. Just show them that you acknowledge them, you appreciate them. We can do that as educators. We don't need to be in an administration role to build these relationships, right? Lesson planning together, right? I had the perfect opportunity during the remote learning to work with a bunch of awesome co-workers. We collaborated. We talked about lesson plans, we talked about work. We talked about units of, like activities we're gonna do with our students. We shared, tips and advice, and it was a great way to build relationships. And Mr. Julian also was part of that. We share ideas, ask for ideas. Right? It's okay. If once if you see a coworker doing something, you see their bulletin, ask them, wow, I love that. It was a great idea. Can you share or something like that? What was the lesson behind that? All that stuff, whatever. If you see in the classroom that they have something or they're doing something, ask and share ideas. That's a way you can build relationships also. Common planning, again, that's another way, working together to put together lessons, activities. Some schools might have that set up already. That's a perfect opportunity for you to build relationships with your coworkers through that collaborating and common planning. Some schools allow for open class for collaborating, right? Like we have service providers, and depending on your relationship with that service provider, you might want to give them the opportunity to lead a lesson, right? So we have speech therapists, we have school counselors, we have physical therapists, we have occupational therapists, right? We have a lot of different types of service providers. And during the pandemic, we had to work with them remotely. So, you know, I had relationships with them where we collaborated and we did lessons, or I assigned specific days where they led the class, right? So our OT, she would lead movement on Wednesdays. Our speech would run the class, would do a 15-minute lesson on Tuesdays, right? So collaborate with them. We're supposed to be working with them anyways, right? They are working with students to help them meet their goals. We are working with the students to help them meet their goals, so we can work together to help the students meet their goals. And there's a higher chance of the students meeting those goals if everyone's working together on the same things. So open, if that's possible, to do a lesson. If you're working on SEL and you have a school counselor, speak to them. Maybe they can come in and do a mini lesson on building relationships, giving tips and advice, right? They have different types of knowledge and expertise that they can share with you and the class. So open those lines of communication with staff and service providers, and you can all work together. So here I have a video from one of the service providers. She was willing to share a little quick video on how effective collaboration with service providers looks, or why is it important, right? So let me know if you...
Hi everyone, my name is
You
Michelle.
hear her?
I'm
Yes
an
or no?
occupational therapist. Miss Rodriguez asked me to jump in just to talk
Yeah, we
about
can hear.
collaboration. And it's something that I think is really important for both related service providers as well as occupational therapists to know about and to want to be involved in. For example, collaborating with teachers in my school is really important to me because a lot of my services I'm pushing into the classroom to do. So I like to collaborate ahead of time with teachers to find out when they plan to do certain things. If a lot of my students have goals that include handwriting or resume writing, things like that, I want to try and go into the classroom when they're already doing a writing assignment. The way that it wouldn't make sense for me to go in there if they're doing silent reading. It's also good to collaborate with them and to give my own input into certain lessons. I can even run a movement break with the class. If students have particularly a lot of energy, we can do some yoga to help calm them down, or I could provide them with different sensory items or fidgets to help them focus more in the lesson. And it's hard to do that by yourself. You really gotta communicate with the rest of the classroom staff to make sure that if you're suggesting something, that it could be implemented correctly. It's also really important to collaborate with a student's parents. I think this past year being remote really showed how important it is to collaborate with them, just to find out what the parents' expectations are for them for at school and at home. And just to know that you can tell them what you're doing with the student during school hours and give them recommendations so that there could be follow-up at home. Because what you're doing during the day doesn't mean anything if it's not being followed through with on weekends or after school and even school breaks and things like that. So I think for anyone that has like the student's best interest at heart, collaborating with anyone possible could really be helpful.
Okay. So that was a service provider, and she was sharing her input on how and why it's important to collaborate with everyone, not only with teachers, but also with the parents. I'm trying to get out of this here. With the parents. Okay, so I have also a video from an ICT teacher. I'm going to share that right now too. Actually, I'm going to wait because I know Shanae is going to come on and she's going to share on effective ICT classrooms. So we are going to go into building relationships with other school staff, right? And then I have a video from a paraprofessional. So like you saw from the service provider, she said, you see how important it is. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's working together. She knows if she's collaborating effectively with the teacher, she knows when to come in and what they're working on, so she can help build on that. If there's no collaboration, then she might, like she said, walk in when we're working on reading, when she's supposed to be focusing on writing, right? Or she'll working collaboratively with a teacher, then she'll know, okay, these movements work for the student at this time, or she knows how to implement certain types of techniques within that class. That's going to benefit everyone in the class, right? So that's why it's just important to overall to open up that line of communication and build those relationships with the staff and allow them in your class to work, to work collaboratively. Does anybody want to share any of the stories they have with like working with other staff members? Have they seen any struggles or just things that have worked for them in the classroom? If you want to share, you can unmute yourself now.
I'll just say I've worked with that particular service provider, and she's awesome. She's very good in terms of when she needs to come into the classroom and identify which students respond to certain, um, like just how to engage that student in a particular lesson. So I know working with her was really beneficial for me last school year, working virtually. She would come in and she would help, and she would just, give us resources in terms of how to engage that student in a particular lesson. I know that was very beneficial for me working with her. She knew in advance what days she would come in and how she would engage that student.
Yes.
So it's very important to work with the service provider.
Yes, it is. It is. And like with us working with special needs kids, they have IEPs, right? Not everyone's going to have students that have IEPs. So your relationships and how you collaborate with with other staff is going to look different. But if you are working in a setting where students have, because I do know in general education class schools as well, they have service providers, they have counselors, they have ICT settings, they have therapists, right? As there's students that still receive services, and you might not work, you might not be working this year or next year with that, but this will help you, know exactly if you come across that. Because remember, in education, you might be working in first grade for 3-4 years and they just switch you up, right? Or every year you might be working a different grade or a different subject, right? Depending on your license. So you just have to be open to knowing how to build those relationships. And yes, utilize that. It's very important. It's very helpful for the students, and it also helps you with your job because you're not working alone, right? Education is not about working alone in isolation, like we've said before. You're working together as a team to meet the needs of that student. So working with service providers, you're going to have to do that in some shape or form in your educational career. So it's important to know that it's needed, right? And a service provider is providing a mandated service, right? Because we know that IEP is a legal document. He's providing a mandated service, and they are working on goals that you guys should be collaboratively working on. Their goals should not look different so different from your goals, right? It should kind of intertwine. It should kind of, if he's working on handwriting, there should be something on your end that you're working on, right? Everyone should be working together for those goals. For those students to master those goals. And if you allow those service providers to come in and you guys work collaboratively, if you have, you build that relationship, then there's a higher chance that student is going to meet that goal. All right. So I won't share the ICT video yet. I'll wait till Shanae presents in a little while, and then I'll share that video. That's again like a video of a teacher friend that she's been in ICT. She started off in District 75. She went into ICT setting, and she's just sharing tips and advice. It's kind of similar to what the service provider just did for us. So we'll go into other relationships with other school staff. We have a lot of other people in the school. We have other people that are part of that school system, right? And like I also said in the beginning, I look at the school like a machine, right? A machine has many different parts, and we need all the parts to work together so the machine can to properly function, right? So we have all different types. We have security guards, we have maintenance crew, we have office staff. Who else? We have millions of other staff members, right? We have the lunch people, the lunch aides. We have the school, who else? We have a bunch of people, right? So don't walk by people and act like you don't see them. They're part of the same machine you're working for, right? And we need them just as much as they need us to make that school work, right? So be kind, remain humble, right? Build those bridges, do not burn them. Like I said earlier, a simple hi, a simple, hey, how are you? enjoy your weekend. Just acknowledge that person. Acknowledging someone can go such a long way. You don't know what they're dealing with. You don't know what is going on in their head. You don't know if they're happy today, they're stressed. You don't know anything. Again, kindness is contagious. It really, really is. And you might not get the same response or the same energy, because I know I don't. Like, I'm always, I'm super high on energy all the damn time. And sometimes people are just like, relax, calm down, take it down a notch, whatever. But that's just me. That's how I am. And you're not going to get that same, don't expect the same energy from the people, but spread that kindness. Even if, or it's just be kind. Say hi, how are you? Good morning. A simple, like, how was your weekend? And genuinely want to know, like, just don't say, how's your weekend, and walk off, right? Some people, it's a New Yorker thing too. Like, hey, how are you? It's not technically you're asking, like, but try to open those, have communication with people. It takes 2 seconds and it can really make a big, big difference. Remain human. Don't get cocky. Don't let your pride or your ego get to you because of your position or what you're doing. Okay? Remember that. Be human. And we are all a team. Like I said, we are a team. We are part of the same school system. We're all there for the same purpose and the same goals, right? To help the students. Everyone in that school is there for a reason, and it's the main focus is the students. Just remember that, right? Okay, so I have a video here from a paraprofessional, and she's sharing. How she views, how does she view working in a classroom with a teacher? Why she feels is important to effectively collaborate, to build communication with the staff in the school, and how you can just work together with the again, they are very important. I don't know if you've ever worked with a paraprofessional in your classroom, but they are a very important part of your classroom and for your classroom to run smoothly. There's a lot of paraprofessionals that have been in the game way longer before we were even born, okay? And they just know so much more, and they have a lot of knowledge, and they know how to deal with a lot of the students that we might not know. They're coming in. I remember my first year I came in, and I was teamed with 2 paraprofessionals, and I had a class with EBD, emotionally disturbed students. And I got lucky with the first year because I was teamed with paraprofessionals that were very knowledgeable of all the students in my class. They've been there for, one of them was there for about 18 years, I think, and the other one was there about 7-8 years, and they knew those students like the back of their hands. And they knew exactly what the students' triggers were. They knew exactly what incentives worked, what didn't work. They knew which students could sit next to each other, which students shouldn't sit next to each other. They knew they knew how to de-escalate situations, how to notice that something was about to escalate. They were like amazing. And I didn't know this when I came in. No one told me this. No one informed me. And I just started building those relationships with them. Having team meetings within the classroom with the paraprofessionals is very important too. Letting them know what's going on. Don't have your paras blind of what's happening in the classroom. Don't have them sit there. Utilize them. They all have special skills and knowledge that they can use and help your class run be a functional, effective class. And they all have something they can share and have input. Let them have input. Don't just have them sitting there waiting and not doing anything. Utilize them, right? And let them know what's going on. Let them know the lesson, right? Try to set up a weekly meeting or even a morning meeting before school starts. Even if it's a 2 to 5 minute meeting, just let them know what's going to be the rundown, the agenda of the day, right? Okay, we're going to work on this in ELA. We're going to work on this. Okay, I seen, that Tommy was a little bit upset in breakfast, so we're going to have to be a little bit mindful of him. Maybe we can put him in the chill out corner for a little while, whatever, right? Just having that communication with them is going to be helpful. And building that, because they helped me so much my first few years, and I'm still good friends with them to this day. But that they are very, very important, and use them. So here's the video for the paraprofessional. Let me share it, and then we will move on to. I think I seen Shanae come in, so we'll move on to her presentation. Okay, just give me a verbal okay if you guys hear
Hello.
it.
My name is Brenda Lee Flowers.
Yes.
I'm a para educational assistant. I've been working with children for 30 years.
30 years.
Ms. Rodriguez asked me to share with all of you what I think makes an effective classroom team. I think it's respect, professionalism, and empathy. Respect means everybody, all the adults in the classroom must be on the same page to work efficiently, to come together as a classroom team. We each come with our own unique strengths and skills. We're here to teach these children, to enrich their lives, and that should be our main objective when we come to work. Professionalism. The teacher, she sets the tone, which provides clarity for parents and students. First, the parents. The teacher must assign clear duties, i.e. helping with AGL, teaching a small group, or working one-to-one with a particular student. For the students, the clarity will be consistent of class rules, clear class rules, no hitting, respect for classmates, and zero tolerance for bullying. If an issue comes up between the staff members, do not argue or disagree in front of the students. Wait to a later time and handle it professionally. Children can sense when there's discord in the team, and that is not conducive to an effective classroom. Empathy. Last but not least, empathy when present makes the classroom a warm and happy place to work for everybody. Empathy makes it easy to listen to and understand the feelings of others, students and staff in the classroom. This caring environment makes it easy for the children to open up, to blossom. You'll be surprised. The child who never raised their hand will be raising their hand. The student who never joined a group will be joining a group. This creates a safe space to learn. So in ending, how we work with the students does make a difference. So let's, 1, show respect, 2, be professional, and 3, show empathy. Thank you.
All right. So that was one of the paraprofessionals I had the honor of working with for many, many years. And you see how she broke down the importance of collaboration and relationships and how it all comes together, and at the end, who benefits from it? The students, right? That's what we need. We want the students to benefit from those relationships. Does anybody have anything they want to say about that or want to add? Or any questions?
I just want to say, just working collaboratively with parents make it easier on you as well as a teacher, because they help keep you focused. They help ease any stresses that you may have going into a lesson, because you can have them help you if you feel like you might struggle in a particular topic or something. They might be more knowledgeable in that area than you are, and you can use that. So just working with them can help alleviate some
Right.
tensions that you might have yourself.
Right. A lot of our paraprofessionals, I've noticed too, are licensed. They're licensed teachers, or they have the schooling. They just haven't taken that step, right? If you give them the opportunity to work with you and collaborate and let them know that you guys are a team, you might help them build that confidence to take that next step. You never know. A lot of them are sitting on degrees and this knowledge and they are just timid because they've been in this position for such a long time, and they're just like, I'm comfortable here. Like, why would I have to leave this? I'm good. I work under a teacher. I'm here, do this, do that. If you let them be an actual team with you, I look at I don't like using the term paraprofessionals. I know that's what the title is. They're teachers. We are a team, And I always refer to them as teachers. When I speak to the students, they are teachers too. We are all teachers here. We are all teachers. And we all have a responsibility. And like I said, we have these gems in our class. We need to utilize them. Like Mr. Julian said, like they might know something or might be able to give an input on something we stuck or we're just not sure. Use them. Have faith and trust in the staff that you have in your classroom. It's very, very important. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing now, and because I can't see you guys, and I want to see you guys for a minute, and then there she goes. Hi. I couldn't see you. All right, so we are gonna go to Shanae now. She's gonna be talking about effective ICT classrooms and how it should look. And also, I have a video. I don't know, should I share the video now I have like a video similar to what I just showed for the paraprofessional of an ICT teacher, or should I wait till after you present? It's up to you.
Maybe we can have the participants vote. So in the chat, if you want to see the video, put a 1. And if you want to see the video now, put a 1. And if you want to see it at the end of my presentation, put a 2.
Good idea. 2. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. The people have spoken. All right, do you want me to give you access to sharing your screen so you can, I'll do that. Yeah, I'm gonna give you access to share your screen so you can do what you do. And you can have more of a, you can control it more, moving from one slide to the next.
Okay, let me, oops, I opened the wrong thing. 1 second, guys, sorry. Yep, it's right here. Let me go back on Zoom. So are you able to see my screen, Ms. Rodriguez?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let me go. Sorry, I just clicked from the, here we go. So hello to the amazing participants. I see Stephen, Mary, Danielle, Jenny, right? Did I leave anyone out? I think, right? That's it. Okay. So I spoke at the second one. Thank you again, Ms. Rodriguez, for allowing me to be here. I started out in the DOE. I'm originally from Queens. I live in Nassau County now. So I taught in the DOE for 2 years, and I had the opportunity, someone kind of challenged me and told me, you could not get a job in Long Island. And when you challenge me, I show you that I'm gonna do it. So I ended up in Hempstead, and I was there for 4 years, and I'm so excited that I was just appointed at the West Hempstead board meeting as one of their new educators, and I'm just so happy. Sometimes in life, you have to be uncomfortable. If you're always comfortable in life, you're not growing. Because if a plant could speak to you, when plants look the most gorgeous, they're the most uncomfortable, right? Just think of a plant starting like this and it's going to this huge plant. It cannot be comfortable during that whole stage. So I like to look at life kind of like I'm a growing plant, and I tell people, if you are comfortable, you are not growing. So I had to go on that interview, and oh my gosh, it was, if anyone needs interview tips, I'll be happy to talk to you about that later. But it was, I will say one thing. The one thing that I think allowed me to get that position was my confidence. And the only reason why I have the confidence is because I'm a lifelong learner, which we spoke about too. So attending things like this, it allows this information to kind of be like innate in you, right? Like if somebody randomly on the street was like, oh, why do you want to be an educator? You don't have to look at a piece of paper. You're going to be able to just speak about it. If they say, what are your best classroom management skills? You're going to know exactly what they're speaking about. So when I worked in the DOE, I first was a dance teacher, a creative movement teacher, and I had to work with the whole building. Like I had a relationship with literally every teacher in the building. The next year, they realized I had my special ed license. I was trying to hide that because I like teaching creative movement. I was a special ed teacher, but there was one math teacher and then there was one ELA teacher. So the kids switched. So I had to work with the math teacher and the ELA teacher. And then when I came to Hempstead, I've been in ICT. So literally my whole career, I've been a co-teacher. And I didn't realize how weird kind of that was when I went on interviews. They were like, what do you mean? Like, you've never had a classroom to yourself. And I'm like, no, why would anybody want that? Right? Like now I'm almost like for the new position, I'm going to be in a self-contained class and I still will have a co-teacher. Like in Long Island, they call it a teaching assistant. I just take the assistant off. Oh yeah, if you say para in Long Island, they look at you like, no, I'm not a para, which they're not. They do so much more, right? So I'm really excited to have another co-teacher. When they asked me, they said, how do you feel? I said, I've done this before. I'm gonna have another co-teacher. And they were like, wow. So on anything I write, it's going to be 2 teachers. It's really important. And I heard Ms. Rodriguez say it. I went on an interview and the first person that I met when I walked into the building was a custodian, right? He walked by me and I said, good morning. He said, good morning. And he kind of looked at me like, why is this lady talking to me? And I remember, I'm going to back up a little bit. One day I was getting gas. And if you know me, I don't like to get gas. Like I'm almost ready to move to Jersey because I don't like pumping my own gas. So anyway, the gas attendant, he said to me, I said, hi. He said, hello. I said, how are you today? And he went just like this. I said, oh my God, what's wrong? He said, I don't know how I am, man, because no one's ever asked me that. And I was like, oh my gosh. So like something so little, right? So back to the custodian. So I say hi, he says hi, and I say, oh, how are you doing? He says, I'm doing okay. After the interview, they're walking me out, right? Who do I see? That same custodian. He said, oh my gosh, miss, have a good day, good luck. I hope everything works out. And the assistant superintendent looked at me, said, you know him? I said, no, we just met when I came in. I didn't do it on purpose. I'm just a good-hearted person. I respect everyone. And I tell people, I pay attention to how you treat somebody who can't do nothing for you. So I want to see, if I'm interested in dating someone, I want to see how they treat the homeless person. Because if you treat them bad, I'm no different than them. Right? I'm one paycheck away from being homeless. I tell people that all the time. So it's really important that you speak to every person in the building. I know it's hard sometimes, but just be open to it, right? Now with masks, you can just kind of even wave. So it really takes a village. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. I just want you to read that a few times and let that marinate. Right? We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are. I am, I'm not going to say, I'm always interested in relationships, different type of relationships with people. So I have different conversations with people. And even myself, in relationships, I don't think about how the person looks at something first or how it affected the other person, right? I think about how it affected me, how I see something. When something happens at school, I'm not like, oh, wait, they gave us, oh, we're starting earlier this year because of the calendar. I'm like, y'all done messed up my vacation plans this year, right? So I'm thinking about myself instead of a whole district. That's how we are. That's how we're designed. But what do you think this has to do with co-teaching? I just want to hear some feedback. We don't see things as they are. We see them as we are.
I guess if you're in the classroom with another teacher, it's going to affect how you teach, how you approach certain things. It's, how am I supposed to approach this now? There's another set of eyes on me, and so on. So I'm assuming that's probably one way it'll affect you.
Absolutely. Because there's no, thank you so much. There's a million answers for this, but I like that approach, right? You have to think about the other person in the classroom. Anyone else? There's literally no wrong answer.
I think that maybe we go into the classroom with some preconceived notions based on our experiences, based on whatever, and that, you know, there always needs to be room to grow and expand our mental models as lifelong learners.
Oh, I like that mental model. I like that. You have to put that on your resume, and you need to put that on your cover letter. I like that. Absolutely. It's funny. Well, I'm always a special ed teacher, right? And my principal asked me, how do I feel about being, you know, a special ed co-teacher? And I say, well, it's very interesting. We never have our own classroom. We're always moving into someone else's existing room. One way to start the year, and this is really difficult, especially if you're coming in with a seasoned teacher. But if there's any administrators or if someone ever asks you, the two teachers should move in at the same time, right? Because if that's like you're dating someone, they have their house already and you move in their house. You're not gonna like everything in that house and you're not gonna feel like it's your house, right? You're like, I moved into this house, and they're gonna have more control, right? Because they design stuff, you have to ask them where things are. But if you do it together, then it works. And it's funny, a lot of relationship statistics work the same for inclusion. I told you I like reading about different relationships and then comparing it to the classroom. So that was one thing I told him. I said, I always go into someone else's classroom. So I'm going in as an underdog already. I will tell you, I've had great experiences and I've had horrible experiences where the co-teacher questioned my degree. You know, oh, well, you're you know, you just, do you even have your master's? So actually I do. It doesn't matter. I mean, I have my certification. I don't know what that matters, right? In my experience, general education teachers, if they were certified more than 5 years ago, they were not trained to be collaborative. They were trained to run a classroom on their own with 25 or more students. So it's not their fault, right? They didn't know that times would change. So all the special education teachers in my building, it's a running joke that we wish we could work together because we're more open-minded, right? We're working with the students that other people don't want to work with. We have to think about creative ways to teach the students. And although everyone should think like that, it doesn't always work that way. So I'm hoping this works. If you can scan this QR code, and then you can let me know if it works.
It worked for me.
Okay, if you could do the first question. And then I'm gonna try to. Do you see the Mentimeter on the computer or no?
Yeah, those are the 3 words that I put.
Okay. So everyone, if someone's having difficulty, let me know. But if you can, if you need me to go back, okay, you guys got it.
This is really cool.
Thank you. My assistant principal used to use this at the beginning of every meeting. And it's one of those things that I was like, okay, I'm going to use that one day. And you can use it for any grade, honestly.
Really cool.
Right? So we see the words that are popping up. Oh, help. Wow. Cooperation, helper, teamwork, co-worker. I didn't do it, but if I would have done it, I would have wrote stressed. Because I don't want to paint a false picture for you. you're going to be stressed out working with someone else. It happens. That's like saying, oh, the first date I go on, that's going to be my future mate, right? That's not realistic. Oh, hell, I see. So you know how this works, right? The words that are bigger, that means more people put that word in. As a presenter, that's how you know, like, you know what people are putting in. Okay, nice. So my most successful co-teaching relationship came from a teacher where we were both new to the building. And we didn't plan it. It just kind of happened. But we were like, let's get to know each other, right? I don't need to know who you are as a teacher at first. I need to know who you are as a person. Because you might have something where you don't like for people to text you before 6 a.m. And I might be a 5 a.m. texter. So that relationship is done already, right? So I knew her favorite color. I knew her favorite gum. I knew her favorite candy. The same questionnaire you give the students, I would give to my co-teacher, right? And we kind of really equaled each other out. I was more of a playful, joking person, and she was like very serious. And at the end of the year, the kids were like, "Oh my God, y'all almost switched people." Like I became more serious, and then she became like this joker. But anytime you work with someone, it's an opportunity to learn from someone else, right? It's almost like the lifelong boot camp forever, because I'm working with someone else. She had amazing ideas. I had amazing ideas, and we put it together. And our students actually outperformed. The first year we were together, they outperformed like 30 other school districts, which was unheard of. As the last state test, they all got 1s and 2s. Right? So sometimes it takes a little quirky, it takes a little crazy, it takes stress, it takes planning to really make something work. So I just want to hear from you. If you met your co-teacher today, what's the first thing you would want to tell them about yourself? Like the first thing that they have to know. I'll give you a second to think about that. I call it my think minute. I always give my students a think minute. You cannot answer a question right away. You have to think about it.
I mean, for me, if I was to work in a co-teaching environment, I mean, I would let them know that my energy, like I'm always on 100, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, my energy is always. So I think, and I'm also like a multitasker. So I do 20 million things at one time. And just people watching me sometimes get exhausted just watching me do that. So I'll just let them know that my energy is always on 100, but that they need to be 100, like just be straightforward with me, that if I'm too much, just tell me. I'm okay with that. Like, I just need that honesty.
That's true. Honesty is always the best, especially in these situations. Anyone else want to share? It could be a very simple thing. Mine would be, I get really nervous when administration comes in. So I like freeze. I'm like this for like 5 seconds, like, oh gosh, okay. Not because I'm not doing the right thing. I'm just a nervous and shy person. So I just get nervous when they walk in. I'm like, I'd rather be videotaped than them to walk in.
I'd like to say something. Good morning. I'm just showing my face now.
I love it. I love it.
I actually was welcomed here by Shanae, and because we are actually going to be working together real soon. We were hired at the same school district, and I'm actually very, very happy with this whole new teacher boot camp because I am going to be a new teacher. And so for me, for my co-teacher, whoever, I would say very similar to like Shanae, I get very nervous. And it's not because I don't know what I'm doing. It's because I want to be sure that what I'm doing is shown well. So like I need like reassurance. So my co-teacher, essentially, I'll probably ask her a million times, do you think this is okay? Or do you think we should go with this? Like I'm the kind of person that needs some reassurance every now and again. But yeah, that's what ultimately I would probably say to my co-teacher.
And thank you for sharing that. And that's something like, if I was your co-teacher, I would want to know that, right? Because I'm the same way. I can be very indecisive. It's like, oh my gosh, when I go out to eat, my friends are like, look at the menu before we go, or we're ordering for you, like, you know? So
Yeah.
they know that. And it's just when people know kind of who you are naturally, it helps them understand and respect you better because they understand where it's coming from. It's not coming from a place where I'm indecisive because I don't think I'm a good teacher. That's just one of my personality traits, you know? So that's amazing. And I'm sure you're gonna do amazing.
Thanks.
Anyone else want to share? No pressure.
Yes, I agree. I'm very indecisive. So coming as a new teacher, I need to like have reassurance and making sure am I doing this okay? You know, this is gonna work. So asking questions, I always ask questions. So that's why I am. And I do get nervous. I'm a shy person. So, you know.
I get it. No one believes me. If I walk in a room and I don't know anyone, I'm like in the corner, like I'm in the corner. It's the weirdest thing. But in the classroom, I'm like, I'm home. That's how I kind of knew teaching was for me, because that was the only place where I felt like I can exhale, right? And then my students, they're always like, how come when we see you around other teachers, you're so shy? I'm like, because I'm here for y'all. I'm not.
See, I would never believe that. I would never believe that she's shy because I would consider myself shy. And I have to say, when I walked into the board meeting, Shanae was like, do you have this information? She was, and just like her janitor story, I can attest that this is true. She said hello, she introduced, so welcoming, here's some information. Do you know about this? Listen, write down this thing for this new teacher boot camp. I mean, and she didn't know how I was feeling, but I was feeling nervous. I felt like, oh my gosh, no, how am I gonna do? And this makes me feel worlds better. Danielle just said that she needs reassurance. Like I wouldn't have thought that. Like, so it's nice to feel like I'm not the only one.
Yeah, no one, thank you for that. No one ever believes me. In that instance, it wasn't that many people in the room.
That's true. That's true. There was
I knew why we were all there, right? So like if I was trying to join a sorority and I went to one of the events and it was like 75 people. And in order to join, you have to speak to other people. And I was like, I'm never getting in. Like this does not happen. Like, you know, so but it's okay. If you're shy, you're shy. If you're not, you're not. And I've learned to know when to speak. That's what I will say. Right? I used to always think like every situation I was in, I had to speak. No. If I don't have anything to say, my mouth is quiet. And then if I have something to say, I think that will help your stress. Like you don't have to speak. I used to have to think every meeting I had in my building, I had to talk. You know, you don't always have to speak. So really, I just want to get into some really important things. In the chat, can you please type what ICT stands for? What does it stand for? And I'm going to And Danielle, could you do me a favor? When you see about 3 responses, can you just read them to me? You don't have to say who typed it. Just read them off, if you don't mind. Because for some, okay, I can see it now.
Fun so far. Yeah.
Let me see. Integrated co-teaching. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. While everyone is thinking or typing, and if you didn't know, that's why I wanted you to know. There's also, when I was in grad school at Brooklyn College, I had a professor. She would take 10 points off if we use the acronym. And she said, I'm going to tell you why. Sometimes there's acronyms for different things. And if you're talking to families, they don't know what you're talking about. Or even if you're talking to a newer teacher, right? Like I did not know what ICT was 7 years ago. I had no idea. And there's also ICT for informational and communication technology. So actually, when you Google ICT, that comes up first. You have to put ICT school or like ICT, classroom. So I think it's good practice not to use an acronym. And on interviews, in any meeting, it shows that you know what it means. A lot of people, you'd be surprised. They use acronyms, they have no idea what it means. No idea. They're like, yeah, the ABC of the FLP and the NYH, and I'm like, let's not, try not to use the acronym. But it's integrated co-teaching. And I want to be clear about why it's called integrated. It is not called included. They actually changed it from inclusive because integrated, you have to work together, right? You things are not like this and it has to work. It's integrated. It actually has to work together as that machine that Ms. Rodriguez talks about. So these are some of the most popular co-teaching models, okay? There's one teach, one support. So let me ask someone, let's say, Ginny, let's say you were the teacher, and if you can't turn your camera on, that's fine. Or whoever wants to answer this, I don't want to put anyone on the spot. If one of the participants here was the teacher, and I was your co-teacher, and we were doing one teach, one support, how would you think I'm supposed to support you? Like, what would I be doing? Like, you're teaching, you're standing in the front of the classroom. What would I be doing as a supportive teacher?
You might be going around to help individuals who needed maybe extra attention as I was talking. If you saw somebody struggling, or if somebody had a question and I was addressing somebody else or the whole class, they might get one-on-one help.
Correct. I agree. Anyone else want to add anything?
I don't mind others adding things as I'm speaking as well. Like if I'm into the lesson and something pops up, just add your input. I never mind that.
If you can get to that point, I had a co-teacher over the past 2 years, and that's how we were. Like, she would finish my sentences, I would finish hers. And the kids were just like, y'all have to be together forever, is the funniest thing. But you're right, like, if someone can add on, and that's good that you're open to that. I'm going to tell you one really important thing about one teach, one support. Some administrators like it. Okay, when you think about the co-teaching models, you don't have to do the same one all the time. And you can even use more than one within one lesson. Right? So let's say you're trying to do a quick assessment at the beginning of the lesson to see how students are adding. One teach, one support will probably be the best way, because let's say someone is explaining the directions and then now the students are working. So that supportive teacher could have their clipboard and have their checklist, right? Like if you want to use green, yellow, red, and now they're checking off who understands what. So now we have a clear understanding of what groups the student should be in. So we could already have station teaching assigned, but we don't know who's going to be at what station at what time, because we needed the assessment information to say, okay, these 4 students should be together in this station first, because they're going to have someone there. So one teach, one support is a great tool, but I don't think it should be used for an entire lesson. Because it becomes one person is only teaching. If you do use it for an entire lesson, it has to be strategically done, and it should be a lesson where you need a lot of data from. And then in that case, I would even say switch. Right? So if I didn't start off as a supportive teacher, I started off teaching, then I'm going to switch. Parallel and station are probably the most popular. And when I say popular, if you look at data, it shows they're the two best to use. Is anyone familiar with parallel teaching?
So my co-teacher and I used to parallel teach, and sometimes it's difficult in a really small room, but it's basically when, you know, we split the kids up into two different parts of the room and we're teaching the same lesson with the same standards, but differentiated. Maybe the pacing is different or something like that. So I would say with that, definitely one challenge was the volume level. If you have a small room, if you can't sit outside, if you're stuck in the same room, it's difficult. But yeah, as you were saying, like using different models, we did the same thing. We would usually start with like team teaching, and then we would break off into parallel.
Right. So you explained it, you know, amazing. The parallel teaching, two groups. You create the groups however you and your co-teacher create the groups however you see fit, and you're teaching the same lesson. This stops that, oh, there are too many kids in the class, right? This stops Elijah and Joe from playing around. I'm separating the two of them because when they're together, am I frozen? Was I frozen? Oh, okay. You know, it kind of helps with that. I want to point something out. Look at the picture of one teach, one support. You see how that second teacher is off to the side? Because they're not teaching per se, right? That's why a lot of administrators are not particularly fond of that one. Station teaching, 3 different stations. The biggest circle is a teacher. So you have the 2 teachers at 2 separate stations. And sorry, my puppy wants some of my attention. Okay. And you have the 2 separate, so you have one group here with the teacher, one group here with the teacher, and this is independent. So I usually use this station as my exit ticket because they're by themselves. I don't go help them at all because it should be strategically designed for them to do that station on their own because they've already been to 2 other stations with support. You could have 4 stations. And kids like station teaching, you know, you can move around. You get to move around. Team teaching is kind of what Stephen was saying, when you can kind of finish the sentence and you just, it's like a team. It's like, you know, you just, when you see the synchronized swimmers and they're like diving at the same time, that's kind of the same thing. Are there any questions about this? Because don't think you will only have an integrated co-teacher like general ed and special ed. You may have an ELL teacher that has to push in. That's your co-teacher. You may have a social worker that has to come in. And I heard Ms. Rodriguez say that. That's your co-teacher. So these models have to maybe work with other people, not just the 2, you know, educators. You could be a gen ed teacher is what I'm saying, and you have a student who requires a service, but it's in a general education setting and someone else has to come in, you have to do a co-teaching model. So the more you know, you're like, okay, well, I think this would fit with, of course, like station teaching, I think it's great for math and science. It's good for any topic, but especially math and science. I think it works really well. What do you think, Ms. Goff? Yes? Okay. All right, time to scan again. So if you scan it, and then I want you to do question 2. And we're almost done. I hope we're getting some good information. All right, so I'm gonna go to. So choose the image that describes how you feel right now. So just look at the images and choose the one how you feel right now.
Can you go back to the scan because it came up as the first question you asked? I'm not sure if anybody else had experienced that.
It should, here it is. It should let you go to the second question though, because it's in one presentation.
Yeah,
But it's not,
I don't have that option. Okay, it's fine. I'll see what they say.
Okay. See if it'll let you like scroll down to the second one. No?
No, it's the same, the first question.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Well, can you look here and just, like right now, I would say, I know it's a little small.
Mine is asking if for you to advance to the next slide so that I can get to it. It's got a little like waiting sign.
Oh,
We could also enter the code that's on top on Menti. See. Oh, no, I'm still in the same place.
Still the same thing. All right. I'm not sure why that happened. Let me, yeah, I'm not sure why that, I wonder, can you try it now? Oh, you need
I see it now.
Okay, that's why, because they wanted it like this.
Yeah, it's good.
Never give up. Only if you're presenting and you only have 5 minutes. Oh, wow, 3 for that one. 4, I'm not panicking. All right. So let me go back, stop share. Sorry, let me share again the presentation. It won't let me, it's so weird. It won't let me back out of Menti now. While I try to figure that out, this is just a cool way, right, for me to see how, you know, how you're feeling. So I know the people who pick option 2, they're like, oh my God, I don't want to co-teach it probably, right? Like I'm not panicking, I'm panicking. Option 4, I love that one. It's like, oh, this is a lot. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen. So if someone wants to like just share their thought, you don't have to say what you picked, but just share how you're feeling right now or any questions you have. This would be a great time to do that. And I'm gonna try to go back to the presentation. There we go. Or do you have any questions at this point? I want to make sure that all your questions are being answered. Or if you want to share something that you're giving the opportunity to share as well. Okay, so you have the general education teacher and you have the special education teacher. One way that I believe you know that you have a good co-teaching environment is that the kids don't know who's who. Why should the students know who's who? Right? Because anything that you do regarding your title, regarding your certification, is behind the scenes. Right? Kids shouldn't know that I am writing their IEP. Why do they need to know that? Because the gen ed teacher should be able to give me information about writing the IEP. Like I'm going to talk to my co-teacher about writing the IEP. So I just wanted to point that out. When my co-teaching was not successful, the kids knew who was who. And they would say things like, Ms. Challonoy, you don't make us feel bad when we get a bad grade. You must be the special ed teacher. they were fourth graders, they knew, you know, they were just very observant. And I just want to show you this one. When I saw this picture, I liked the setup of this room, but does anyone notice anything that they might change if this was their classroom? Is there anything you might change? Okay, and so I really want you to remember to be open-minded. You're not gonna know how to do everything. You're not gonna know all the right answers. You're gonna be nervous. I'm going into my 8th year and I'm super nervous. I'm super excited to meet my co-teacher, but I'm super nervous, right? So make sure that you're just open-minded. And you cannot always have it your way. It's not Burger King. You cannot, it will not always go your way. It just won't. Co-teaching is the complete opposite of Burger King. Right? It's maybe more like a buffet. You know, sometimes they have what you want and they'll have more of it when you want extras, and sometimes they won't. But it's definitely not Burger King. If you could scan it one more time, and I'm going to go, let me see if it will let me. It may not allow me to go back. I don't know why. Oh, there it is. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the last question I wanted you to present anyway. Did you have a chance to scan it? I'm sorry. No, I'll go back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Here we go. Got it? Sorry, guys. You ready for me to go to the presentation? Okay. Is it working?
It just says get ready to play.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
It says get ready to play.
That's interesting. I don't know why it's saying it. It's only one question and present. Is it working now?
On your screen, it says press enter. Oh yeah, there we go. Got it.
Thank you. So special education teachers are only responsible for the special education student. Is that true or false? Special education teachers are only responsible for the special education students. Great. So I'm so happy. I knew you knew that, but I just wanted to emphasize that. And I like when people get things right. So I always ask questions that I know my students will get right, because I know they're gonna have a lot of questions that they don't get right. Are there any questions, comments, concerns? Maybe if you're thinking of a question, oh, thank you. If you're thinking of a question, I'm just gonna share something with you, how important feedback is, right? So I presented week 2 and I had the Mentimeter plan, and for some reason it wasn't working. And we asked for feedback. And one person said, oh my gosh, the feedback was, I loved it, but I really, really wanted to use the Mentimeter. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make sure that they're able to use the Mentimeter. You can't do, my point is you cannot do everything at the same time. But if you take small steps, and you kind of focus in on one thing, that will help you succeed in life. So think about everybody in the building as your co-teacher, because they're all there for the students. So everyone in the building is your co-teacher, the custodian, the amazing woman who works in the lunchroom, who when you forget your lunch one day, she may have to give you a lunch. That has happened to me, right? But it's very weird to go ask somebody for something when you never even said hi to them. And the kids see this. How are you teaching kids how to speak to each other and be nice when the adults in the building aren't even doing it? And I tell people this all the time. When I want to know the culture of a building, I want to sit in a professional development. I don't even need to see the kids. And I can tell you exactly how the kids are going to behave by the way the teachers during that professional development behave. I had teachers one year tell me the kids can't focus. They always want to be on their phone. And here they are in the PD. The presenter's presenting and they're on their phone. And I was like, oh, you just see yourself in the kids, right? So always make sure that you're open and you're focused, and and you're open-minded, and everyone in that building is important. There was a custodian in my old building who went to school to be a oceanologist. I think I'm saying it right. He knew like every sea animal, like, and how everything works. So I asked him to come in and talk to the kids one day. He's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes. And they were like, wait a minute. So you could be, and they asked him, you're the custodian, but you have all this other information. He said, yes. You don't have to be in one lane in life. And that really helped them, So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. If you could write in the chat really quick, one thing that you're taking away today about co-teaching, integrated co-teaching. And thank you again, Ms. Rodriguez.
Of course. That was perfect.
Stop sharing.
All right, well, so everybody oh. Okay. My internet is extremely glitchy. Am I choppy?
You were before, but not just now when you said that.
Okay, thank you. Everybody's frozen on my screen. Okay. All right. So does anybody have any takeaways they want to share about Shanae's presentation? It was amazing. It was perfect. Like I said, I have worked collaboratively with service providers. So co-teaching looks different, and it might not necessarily be called an ICT classroom, but it happens. And you're going to come across that in your educational career. You're going to have to collaborate, co-teach, whatever term you want to use. It's something you're going to end up doing at one point or another. Does anybody have anything they want to say, maybe, about the
You were glitchy a little bit, Ms. Rodriguez.
All right, so I'm going to share my screen.
Oh, thank you.
All right, you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So earlier I shared a video of a service provider sharing tips and advice on how, the importance of effective collaboration with parents and with other teachers. I also shared one from a teaching assistant from my school. Now I'm going to share one from a teacher friend I met during my teaching.
Is glitching out.
This is it goes off of, it's glitchy, right? All right, so hopefully you can. If not, I'm going to play it. If it gets too glitchy, again, it's going to be shared on our Google Sites that I'm putting together. I'm actually finalizing it, waiting for a little bit more information, and then I'll be sharing that hopefully by the end of this week, probably probably by tomorrow, I can probably share it. I'm gonna play it again. This is you guys hear me fine?
Yeah, we do, yes.
Okay, so this is a friend of mine. I met her in the Teaching Fellows program. She started in a District 75 school, and then now she's been doing ICT for the past maybe, well, she'll share how many years she's been doing it. And this just adds on to the presentation we just had on co-teaching. She just shares some tips and advice from her perspective as an educator. She also experienced some of the stuff like Shanae says. She's special education, so she was getting a lot of that from general education teachers, where she was just the assistant. She's just there to help make copies. She had a lot of horror stories. So let's see what she has to say.
This will be my 6th year of teaching as a special educator in an ICT classroom. I've done 3 years of kindergarten, 1 year in 4th and 5th grade, 1 year in 2nd grade, and this will be my 6th year, and I'm most likely going to be in 2nd grade this year. The most important piece of advice that I can give you going into an ICT or integrated co-teaching classroom relationship is that it is a marriage. It is so important. The number one thing that will be either your downfall or your success is communication. You have to be able to talk to each other, be on the same page, understand your role for the students. You have to plan together. It's so important. And
We can't hear the video anymore.
what was going on. I know that there was a lot of animosity where they were expecting me to plan my own lessons, and that's not what ICT is supposed to be. It is not the special education teacher always pulling the special education kids, always doing her own lessons, and the general education students being with the general education teacher having their own lesson. That is not what it's supposed to be. It's integrated for a reason. You're not supposed to know who the special education students are, and you're supposed to be pulling different groupings. There are going to be days where the special education teacher is leading lessons. There are going to be days where the general education teacher is leading lessons. And an ideal scenario would be where we both teach lessons together throughout the day. And for some, as the special education teacher, you shouldn't just be working with 1 or 2 students. You should be integrating your students for different groupings throughout the day. You should be including general education students in your groupings, and you should be teaching skills, not just providing support. Supports could be things on your IEP that are listed as management things, like, for example, a graphic organizer or different tools that they use for classes. Those are not differentiation. You're supposed to be teaching skills and finding ways to teach skills to that student that can't learn that skill the same way else. So you definitely have to get to know your students. There has to be respect from both teachers for each other and students and patients. One thing I will say that same relationship didn't go very well is I didn't really feel that my co-teacher understood my students and didn't really feel she needed to work with them. That's not the case. Integrated, you're doing together. The welfare of your students and their success. That is the most important thing. Now, there are different co-teaching models you should be using throughout the day. There's team teaching, and that's where both teachers teach and deliver the instruction to the whole group at the same time. I did use that model, and I really liked it.
All right, sorry guys, I'm getting messages that it's very, very glitchy. So let me see if I pause it and start again.
You're observing the students and you're taking data. There's stations. There's really a big push out in the DOE station teaching. So you're building stations that focus on using different always just skills or less, and it's hands-on practice.
I am going to, she goes, hold on, let me stop sharing. All right, sorry guys. You guys hear me okay?
The rain.
Yeah, I couldn't see any of this text message. I mean, the messages here. All right, I'm sorry, it's the internet and everything going on. It's glitchy, but that video is going, you guys hear me fine? Am I glitchy? Okay, so I'm going to put it on the Google Slides. So I'm actually finalizing it. Again, like I said, I'm waiting for a few pieces. So I'm going to try to get that to you guys by today. So you have this video. I think she shares a lot of information that Shanae shared, but I want you to have it. So you have it. And it's going to be on week 4, and also the videos from the paraprofessional, the teaching assistant, as well as the service provider video is going to be there. All right, I wanted to be able to share it on here, but the internet is really glitchy. You're not going to be able to hear much. But let me go back into sharing my screen to see what else I have here for you guys. I have a link that I'm going to share in the chat room. It's for, just like Shanae said, feedback is important. We want to do better. We got to accept that there's always a way we can improve our practices or what we do. And I want this, the goal of this bootcamp was to help you guys, to help future teachers, new teachers, teachers that have been in the game, but just wanted a refresher. And it's just there, you guys are just open to learning new ways to meet the needs of your students. So I put together a little survey, just asking a few questions on what did you like, what you didn't like so much, what would you do to improve it, how can we improve? Because I want this to be something that we are doing, whether it's going to be a semesterly thing or a yearly thing. I want this to become something more. So this was our first round, and I'm grateful for everyone that did attend and has been watching the videos. Like I said, I've been getting a lot of views of the videos because I know there's people that have not been able to get on with us. So I'm glad that that we are recording this so that we can reach people that are not just able to attend the lives. So I am going to share that link now in the chat. Also, I have tons of other tips and resources that I'm going to share on the screen too. So we're not done yet, but I just want to add that in there so you have it, just in case I forget to share it. Hold on, let me get the link really. My screen again. Share or not. Here. Okay, there. Right. I think I put it towards the end. All right, here. All right. So it's a Google Forms. This is also an awesome tool to use for your students, also for professional development, anything for parents. You know, you could make a quick survey, and you can use it for your survey to get ideas, to get, use it even with your students as a preference, right? We said we're going to do the preference surveys for the student likes, dislikes, parents. You can use Google Forms and it comes directly to you and you have access to all of that. Thank you, Jenna. Okay, so I just put the link in there for you guys. I'll try to email it as well. Let me share my screen. I have a bunch of other stuff here that I want to share with you guys. I know someone reached to me about the lesson plan template, which I'm going to share as well. So this week, focus on self-care. We learned about that for week 1. Again, that's going to be on the Google Slides, the tips and advice of how to take care of yourself, right? How to take care of yourself. Try new things, breathing, maybe picking up a hobby, do something that you like to do step away from the computer for a little while. Remind yourself of your why. That's going to help you stay grounded in your job. It's going to help you with your confidence. And again, like I said, when, things start to get a little, crazy or hectic, your why should help you stay focused on why you went into education. Get your positive affirmations in place. They're very helpful for me. We shared a whole bunch of them the first week. You can easily find them online. Whatever you're going through, whatever you're experiencing, you can find positive affirmations for that. Also, ask questions. What did I say? I said the dumb question is the one not asked, right? Like, we need to ask questions. Don't be scared to ask questions. It's going to help you, and it might help someone else that is too scared to ask that question. And start trying to put together like a template for your Meet the Teacher, right? Your Meet the Teacher is that thing, the first few days of school, you want to open up that line of communication with families. Like I said, figure out what's the protocol with your district first. If they want you to use the school phone number, if they want you to use your school email, again, you can make a Google number. There's tons of apps with other numbers. An email, if you want to use your school email, if you want to make a Google email, see what is accepted by your school and get that. We want two-way communication, and we want to give the parents options. We know that we have a lot of parents now that are young and they're into texting and into social media and into emailing. They might not necessarily have the chance to be on a phone call with you. So we want to give them multiple ways where they can communicate with you so that they are in partnership with you when it comes to their child's academic and social success, right? So that's very, very, very important. The book that we have recommended, you could probably find tips online, but the book we had recommended with The First 6 Weeks by Responsive Classroom, I believe Shanae has that book. It's very important. It talks about the first 6 weeks of school, setting the routines, the classroom management, building the relationships. I suggest that you guys, there's going to be some investments you're going to have to make, and there's not, you can't just get around it, but it's going to benefit you in the long run. These are books that are going to become like it's going to be like your Bible for work, right? You're going to need this. You're going to use it. You're going to look into it for guidance, for support, right? I actually have this book, I Wish My Teacher Knew. It's a great, great book. I don't know if anyone read it. I read it and I take notes, I highlight, I put Post-its in it. Very helpful, and it gives you a different perspective. And just to be a little like was said in the presentation, having an open mind. You need to have an open mind in education. And just trying to be in the shoes of your students, right? There's a great activity in there. I Wish My Teacher Knew It. You do that the first few weeks, right? Ask your students, is there something you wish your teacher knew? You'll get so much more out of them, and you'll get a better understanding of where they're coming from, right? Just because you live a certain lifestyle doesn't necessarily mean your students have, right? We have to be open and realize that our kids are coming from all different walks of life and are experiencing a lot of things, and we just cannot pass judgment on them like that, right? Just like last week when Jenna shared that poem about the pencil. I don't remember the exact name of it, but just knowing, there's kids that come from homes that don't have money, that don't have food, that are they're foster kids, or they're bunked up with like 20 people in their house. You don't know what they are experiencing at home. So just be gentle, kind, have empathy, right? Teach Like a Champion was a great book I used during my teaching fellow years. Again, it's like I'm trying to see if I find it here. You'll see I have tabs and highlights and stick papers on it. It's a book that you constantly can go back to use to just refresh. Or if you're struggling with some area in class when it comes to classroom management or building relationships or strategies, you can go back to the books and reference, right? This is why I put the Google site together too. You can always have it. It's going to be something that's there. It's going to be a living site, which is constantly going to be, changing. I'm going to be adding, updating stuff. So you have it there for you to use. The new teacher planner, that's from Dr. Sam, who she presented as well. You could check her website. She has a lot of awesome stuff. She also has freebies and PDFs and all that good stuff. So if you want, check it out. And so these are a few books that I recommend. If anybody has any more that they want me to add to this list, I can, that has been helpful for you. I have a list of resources here. Again, all these resources are going to be put on the Google Sites. I know a few people reached out to me about the lesson plan template that I use. Again, this is the lesson plan template that I shared last week. It's what I use. It might not work for you. I know I've shared it with a couple of teachers at my school, and it seemed to work for them because it covers the basic areas, the components that are needed when you are doing a lesson, right? So I will share this. Again, it's on, I think I already added it on the Google Sites. But there's tons of different types of templates for lesson plans. As long as you have those components you're covering, right? You know what the objective of your lesson is. You have your standards that are aligned. You know how you're assessing the students. You have your differentiated group work, the worksheets, whatever you're using, your material. There's certain areas that they're going to be looking for when you're getting your observations. Make sure that is covered in your lesson plan. Like, again, a lesson plan could be on a napkin. There's no specific format or thing, but whatever works best for you. This lesson plan, I've been using it since I became a teacher, and it's been working for me. So I'm going to share it with you guys. I also posted some videos here. I put together a tenure binder video when I first was doing my tenure, putting my tenure binder together. That's when they were doing binders. Now I know they're doing electronic copies, and also tips. Don't wait till your third or fourth year to start preparing that binder. Start now. You're going to need student work, data collection sheets. You're going to need, and also data collection sheets are here too. But again, you can find many online. These might not fit what your students are working on or need, but these are some templates here. I think there's like 4 or 5 of them in there. Don't wait to the end of don't wait to the year that you're up for tenure to start working on that, right? You're going to start slowly building that folder now with professional development, with collaboration, how you keep in communication with families. Look at the rubric for tenure, and you'll see what they're going to be looking for. Be prepared, be ahead. You want to be proactive about this. You don't want to wait to the last minute, because you're going to need for all the years of your probation work for your, material for your binder. Affirmations are here. Again, Pinterest is your best friend. Google is your best friend. I added Dr. Sam's website. Want to make sure that you are being aware of this and you are practicing culturally responsive teaching. Also depending on what your school says about them, what they're using. These are 5 strategies of how you can easily embed it, implement it into your practice. This is the video. Every kid needs a champion. I love her, Rita Pearson. This video was awesome and amazing. Nervous and scared or shy or whatever when she's out there talking to other people or in a group of other people, but when she's talking about, we see so much confidence in her when she's speaking in front of us, right? This is what she loves. This is her calling. This is her purpose, and you can see that in how she delivers what she's talking about, right? When you go into the classroom, if that's where you're supposed to be, and you're going to feel that way, it's just going to flow. It's just going to work. It's just going to happen. That nervousness is just going to like disappear. But this video will definitely help you with that as well. Here, 6 ways to differentiate your lessons. I also, we talked about that last week. I gave you some examples. I think about like 15 ways you can differentiate your instructions across all content areas and subjects. Here, let's see the last slide. A few more tips. Don't go broke trying to get supplies to your classroom. I've had so many people reaching out to me, even with this boot camp. One of the biggest things was, what should I buy? What should I buy? What do I need for my classroom? Don't go broke. Check for free stuff. Donations. Donors Choose is very awesome. There's a lot of people willing to donate. Dollar store can be your best friend. The Target dollar area, whatever they call that area, is awesome. Discounts, yard sales, look online for free stuff. A lot of teachers are giving away stuff. They just throw stuff in the trash that you can use. Look up all that stuff. Here is a little article on a rookie survival kit, what to buy your first for your first classroom, right? It's the basics of a true. For me, my first 3 years, I went broke because I didn't know any better. I was just buying everything. Now I have closets and boxes of supplies that I don't even use. They're literally just sitting there taking up space because I already know more or less what I'm going to be needing, what's important. You don't want to overdo it. Also, I've been into elementary classrooms and it's very overwhelming with all the charts and all the pictures, and it's just a lot of stimulation. It's a lot of stimulation for students. So you want to be mindful of that as well, depending on the group and the age level and the subjects you are teaching. But look around. I know you want to be prepared and but don't go broke. Just try to keep a budget. If you want to spend, keep a budget. Don't go over it, and slowly buy your stuff, because if this is where you're going to be, this is where you're going to be. I'm sure Mr. Julia or anybody else you might have anything you want to share on that, or maybe Shanae, are you still here? I can't see anybody. You want to share anything on buying for your first classroom?
I'm here.
Okay.
I think the tips that you guys that you gave Ms. Rodriguez on the with the link is really good. You don't want to. Sometimes we assume what our students would want in the classroom. And I find it better when you kind of organize your classroom as you go, because like sometimes you can't foresee something, or you don't know exactly what your students will want. So like the basics, you would think you have, but think like when you buy something, if you don't know how you're going to use it, don't buy it.
Right.
Because I have buckets full of things that I don't know what grade I'm going to be in every year, so I have those things. But don't like I said, don't go broke and then you don't have any money to buy food. Like that is just Facebook Marketplace. I found some really good things over there. Definitely donors choose and just buy just get the basics. And a great teacher doesn't have to have this elaborate classroom. I just want to point that out. They look great,
right,
but that takes time. And a lot of times when you go on Instagram, those schools have a lot of funding.
Right. Right. Very, very, very true. Thank you for sharing that. It looks cute and it looks nice, but you want to make sure that your relationships and your instructional practices is going to outweigh how pretty your classroom looks. You don't want to just look good. You want to be good, So like, you want to have an attractive classroom, but you don't want to go broke doing it, right? This is your home. This is where you're going to be every day from 7 a.m. or whatever time you get to school. Get to school till 3 o'clock, right? This is your job. This is your second home. So you want it to be comfy. You want it to be a place where you want to walk into, but don't go broke. Slowly do it. I remember coming in, I changed my room so many times my first few years. Even the setup of my desk, it needs to work for the students. You might have this vision of how you want your classroom to look, and that's great because you are being proactive and thinking about it. But remember, things are going to change. You're going to have to adapt, and you can't stay stuck on what you want because it might not work for your students, right? Don't overwork yourself. You want to balance personal life and work life. Set a schedule. I know the first few years, I remember I used to burn myself out coming home. I was not focusing on my kids. I was not focusing on my relationship. It was all about my job, lesson planning, trying to think of the next best thing to do for my students. And it burns me out. I don't know if you guys ever seen those memes where it says, oh, this is like my third, fourth year teaching. And it looks like, like an old lady because you got so stressed out and burnt out. Balance, please. It's real. Listen to people that have been doing this. It's real. Balance your personal life. You need to set a schedule and stick to it. All right. From this time to this time, I'm going to be working solely on lesson plans. But once 6 o'clock hits or once 5 o'clock hits, I'm done. I'm going to spend time for myself, or if you have, other personal things going on, your kids, a husband, whatever you have, focus. Make sure you make time for that. You don't want to neglect your personal life because you're so focused on your work life. There needs to be a balance. And do not hesitate to ask for help and support. We are here. I'm here. You have all our contact information. You're going to build relationships in your school where hopefully you'll be able to turn to them for help and support. There's people online that willingly are there. They just want to offer help, ask. Don't be scared to ask. And if you get a no, so what? There's someone else that would help you, but don't be afraid to ask. You're not in this alone. we, like I said, it's a village. It takes a village. We need everyone. We need to all work together to help our students. So you need to be willing to ask questions and ask no, and be able and accept that you might be told no, or they might not want to help you. Because not everyone generally has, that has their right intention, or they're just busy with what they're doing that they can't really assist other people. But reach out and ask for help. And then this goes back to the binder profession for your tenure, right? You want to start collecting student work early, data, your professionalism, how you communicated with your parents. Slowly start putting this stuff together, whether it's a electronic copy or you have a hard copy. I love hard copies. I love paper printing. I know save the trees, but I always try to save things in folders and keep everything together. Or you can make, a folder in your computer, take pictures of all your stuff, because once that school year starts, you're getting so overwhelmed. You might forget, but try to keep it in the back of your head. You're working towards your tenure. You're going to earn your tenure, right? So you got to start having that mindset of preparing those documents for that time. Okay. And the end thing is, you got this. Just remember, keep grounded in your why, and remember, the students first. It's students first. You are there for them. You are here for a reason, right? You decided on education because this is where you're supposed to be. Nothing happens just because. Everything happens for a reason. And you just have to keep the students in the center of it all, and just be open to asking for help and accepting you a lifelong learner. Every week I tried to put together topics that I felt were very important for my beginning years as an educator, right? Accepting that I need to learn, I need to be open to learning, collaboration, wellness, right? All those things are important. Your confidence is the biggest thing. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that joined us. This is the 4th session, which is the last session. But I'm putting together, like I said, the Google Sites. The survey hopefully will give me a better idea of how we're going to move forward with this. Hopefully it can become a semester thing, or I can keep it a yearly, whatever the people want. That's what it's about. It's about helping other educators get to that point where they are just superstars in the classroom, and they're helping their students reach their highest potential. So thank you everybody for joining us. Thank you to all the hosts. You guys were amazing. I was so blessed to come across you guys on social media. Again, the power of social media is real. Hope you guys started working on your EDU pages.
Thank you for creating this, Ms. Rodriguez. I'm sorry, I didn't want anyone to leave. I don't know if you guys understand, when you have a vision like this, right? This is a huge vision. And for her to put it together, it should just be a testament to you to just follow your heart, right? Just follow your dream. She probably told this to someone and they were like, you want to do all that work? Like, that's a lot. But look who it helped, right? Look who it has inspired. It has created, I think, lifelong relationships, and just be inspired. And one last tip, create a Google number. You can create a Google number. You can use it for like parents, and even like networking, so people don't have access to your actual number. But Ms. Rodriguez, you are a gem. Thank you on behalf of all of us, all the presenters, all of the participants, and all of the students who are going to get a piece of what you have been able to offer. You are amazing, and I know there are great things in your future, and I'm going to be there to see it.
Yes, you are. All right. Thank you. You're going to make me cry. It's too early for that now. But thank you. No, it definitely was a vision that it was, a lot of people did say I shouldn't do it, or it's going to be too much, or why you taking that on your plate? Just enjoy your summer, all of that negativity. But I focused, collaborated with amazing people. I had a vision and I saw it through, regardless of the, some detours I had or some bumps in the road. But I'm glad that we pulled through. We did it the 4 weeks, and I feel that this is going to be something great. It's not over. It's just the beginning. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to send the link for the Google Sites, hopefully in the next few days. If you need any help or you have any questions, you have our contact information. We are now bonded for life. So enjoy the rest this summer. And again, thank you. Okay, bye. Bye.